Good afternoon. It is such an honor to be here to share ideas and just exchange different perspectives on innovation. But when it comes to innovation, I can't help but think about the people aspect of innovation. In particular, the aspect of a person that's not obvious. You know, you won't notice it on first glance. And a person that I think of that's my favorite individual that fits the bill is Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. And I don't know if you know who Dr. Ben Carson is, but he is a pediatric surgeon at Johns Hopkins University. And early in his career, he came up with a method to separate Siamese twins that were connected by the skull. And prior to this innovation, essentially parents would have to prepare for one of their twins to die because they would bleed to death. But he came up with this idea or this method for separating twins successfully. But if you met Ben Carson when he was in elementary school, he was called the dumbest kid in the 5th grade. And if you met him in high school, he had a temper so bad that when his friend got him upset, he tried to stab him with a knife, and the only reason the knife didn't go in was because his friend was wearing a belt. So if you look at all these things about a person and just imagine what they could be, it's hard to see that, right? And then another aspect of innovation that excites me is just sort of the whimsical ideas, you know, ideas that you toss around and you think that, oh, it's not really much, or it's just this, or it's just that. And I have a personal story along those lines, and it goes back to when I was in the 3rd grade. And so I was attending public school in the Bronx, and there was a poster contest in school, and we were told to draw a picture of something we wish we could have. And at that time, the big thing that students were drawing was pictures of astronaut suits and space shuttles, and the reason being because the space shuttle Challenger disaster had recently happened. But when it came to my poster, I thought about, boy, you know, I really like jumping double dutch jump rope. I don't know if anyone knows what double dutch is, but it involves 2 ropes. You're turning the ropes, and it looks like you're running in place when you're jumping. And it was a big game to play in the 80s, especially in New York City. And I loved playing, but the problem was I was an only child, and the only time I could really play was at school at lunchtime. And there wasn't a lot of time because there were like 10 girls always in the line. You had to wait to get your turn. It wasn't enough. And so this poster contest, I drew a picture of 2 poles, 3 push buttons, and a girl jumping in the middle. And that's what I wanted. The poster contest was, what do you want? And that's what I wanted. And I actually won first prize for this poster contest. But then years would go by, I go on to middle school, I still love double dutch. I'm on the double dutch team in middle school, doing competitions, doing tricks and flipping. I can't flip like this, I definitely can't do that. But I did some tricks. And, you know, go on high school, and I found that I love math and science, and I went on to RPI to study mechanical engineering. And I'm a sophomore there, and now here we go with design, and another question. Challenge the limits in sports and recreational activities. And I remember when I was thinking through this, I started out with the obvious sports. Okay, what are the limitations in basketball, football, soccer? And I was like, wait a minute, that idea I had when I was in the 3rd grade. And so my design notebook just exploded with ideas. And so I just kept thinking about it, and now here's the big challenge. So here I am in this design class. You can guess how many people were from New York City in my design class, how many people were female, how many people were African American. You could imagine. And so our task was now to sell our ideas to our teammates. And I didn't have teammates that looked like me, even knew what double dutch was, okay? But somehow I had to convince them to select my idea as the semester project, and I did, and I'll tell you how in a few minutes. And so when we build the idea, it doesn't work as well, then I apply for a grant, get grant money from the NCIIA, then I get a patent. Now this is where things get really interesting. So I get this patent, and then the New York Times decides to write about this story. I think it was called Inventor Makes Good on a 3rd Grade Notion or something like this. And back then, we didn't have YouTube, but effectively, it went viral after that, using modern terms. And because every month after that, someone else wanted to write about this story. Someone wanted to interview me. Someone wanted to hear about the story. And it goes on and on and on. Was featured in the Smithsonian twice, was on the Today Show, was on just everywhere, NPR, just a number of different places. And the image you're seeing there is the first time that I actually got it to work. And the reason it got it to work was because there was pressure from this documentary that wanted to feature this story. It's a documentary about women that love double dutch, and they said, we need footage. Yeah, it was actually a documentary about women that love Dublin. It was called I Was Made to Love Her. And I was like, oh my God, I need footage. And so this is the working prototype. The first day we got it to work. And so, lots of cool things happen. It's in a children's storybook. And, so let's just take a moment and step back and just think about this. Let's just think, okay, so this is a third grade poster, okay? It's a third grade sketch. How many of you had kids that bring home these funny sketches and these weird, things from school with the crayons, and it just doesn't look like much. It doesn't seem like much. But somehow this idea made it to the Smithsonian and the Today Show and all this great, just unimaginable stuff. And I was just like, okay, what is the one thing that I could boil this all down to, like why? And it really boils down to one thing that I thought was very critical in this process, and it ties into what a lot of the other speakers are saying, and it really is just encouragement. I think that if I did not have encouragement throughout every stage of everything I've done, I think, I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't have gotten out of my design notebook. It would not have gotten this far. And I even took time out after graduating as an undergrad to look at starting a company and seeing how to get it to the market. But my decisions changed because I didn't get as far as I wanted to, and I continued my education because I got interested in electromechanical systems, so I got a master's and then went on and got a PhD. And now I'm here as a professor running a design lab, interdisciplinary design research, and just loving that, just also in an environment of encouragement. But I just say to you, though, what is your story? What is the story that you're trying to build? There's so much that you have to offer. And there's just so much that is within you that you don't even know. But the key thing is, just try. Don't accept failure. I mean, you can fail, okay? That's normal, that's natural, right? But do not try. And that goes back to what Jason was talking about earlier on, just giving it a try. But another aspect of this is just remembering that you have something to contribute, that you have value. And there's a quote that I just live by, it just resonates in my heart so much, and it's by Charles Allen. And it basically says, remember that you are needed. There's at least one work that needs to be done that will not get done unless you do it. So what is it that you're sitting on? What is it, an idea? Maybe it may not be an invention. It might be a method for doing something. Maybe there are single moms or, I'm not a single mom, by the way, I just put my hand up, but maybe there's a, stay-at-home mom that has a really creative way of getting kids to like beans, or, maybe there's someone that's there to nurture the ideas in other people. It kind of goes back to one of the other speakers talking about who are your friends, who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So I just encourage you to just remember that one work, that one thing that you can do to make a difference. And my story is still being written. This is just a snapshot of what I've done so far. So I encourage you, if you don't have an encourager, go for it and try hard.